Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Tuesday, August 13th. So, thought we'd get back onto a little bit of business again. It may be repetitious, but I think it really needs to be heard and understood. And that is, what does it take to create, manage, and run your own business? And how many hats do you have to wear? So stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. This is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, Jason. I looked at the video yesterday. I'm really screwed up, right? But it's August 13th. So, for the ones of you that have been in business and maybe owned a business or are running a business right now, you understand this all so well. And that is, being an owner of a business isn't just usually one hat, right? You have to carry on with many hats, And when you're first starting to try to grow that business, it's even paramount that you understand how many hats you have to wear. And, if you listen to my videos, I always say time is money, right? If you don't have time to learn how to wear that hat, then you're going to have to pay somebody else to wear it. But if you haven't got the money, then you're going to have to find the time, right? That makes sense? But a lot of people can't get past that point. Either you want to do it or you don't. And that's why early on Amos pointed out, very few people actually succeed in running a profitable business. Why is that? Well, you may have good intentions. You may think this is what you want. But if you're not willing to spend the time, learn how to do stuff. A lot of this stuff you can learn on the job, okay? But there's a lot of it you need to have in your wheelhouse before you start cranking up. But it's like anything. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to make money, yada, yada, yada. But for the ones that are running a successful business, ask them how it was in the beginning, during the startup phase. Now, it's going to be a little bit different if you're buying into a business that's already established. But good chances are either that business owner, if they are making a profit, has those hats to wear and doing it well, or they have some key people in place that wear those hats for them. And those things you need to find out, right? But I tell people, don't go into debt, because you may think this is everything that you wanted, but a year later you're questioning, whether you should have done it, or as what most people do, they just get either burned out, or because they don't know how to manage their time, or they just give up. It wasn't that important. My grandfather used to say, if it's worth doing, give it 110%. If not, why are you wasting your time? Sounds pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Yet, every year we have a lot of businesses fail. Now, if somebody wants to talk business with me about how great their business is, I don't care about hearing what your gross is. I mean, we can gross millions of dollars. But what is the net? What is net? Net is how much is left over in profits after you paid everything. And are you solvent? What does solvent mean? Solvent means that you have no debt. You still have your light bill, your heat, and all that kind of stuff, taxes. But your mortgage is paid for, the inventory is paid for. That's solvent. You could tell me that you sold $1 million this year, and you could be $1 million in debt and inventory still sitting on your floor. You still got $1 million in debt. Can you walk away from that business today if you wanted to? See, that's one of the things that's kept me in business. Is at any point in time when I started this business, I could have just locked the door and walked out. Yeah. How? Because I grew it from the ground up. You know, we talk about building houses as using for an example. And that is, let's say you have two home builders, two business people. One decides to bring in item 4, crushed stone, and then start building a form, and then pouring 2 inches of concrete, and then building their house, okay? Now let me tell you something. 2 inches of concrete isn't a lot of concrete. And number 2, item stone will move. Whereas if you put sand and then you tamp it with a tamper which packs it in, then the floating pad, that's what they call it, you put your on that sand foundation, and you're using rebar, wire mesh, fiber in your concrete. The one that builds the house with a solid foundation, the second guy, will be the more stable guy. The guy that throws it on just, playing by the seat of their ass, the house is not going to last long. So you have to keep building that business on what I call the profits. And a lot of people can't do that. Can you turn around and take the money that you're making from your business and reinvest it back into your business? Whether it's paying for the inventory that you have, paying off the mortgage that you have. Maybe you want to expand this year. And my question to you is, do you have the collateral to expand? Do you have the money sitting in the bank to expand that business? Because what happens after a year out of expansion and the economy changes? And if you want to watch economy, just watch my video here last week of It's the Economy Stupid. Stay calm and stay your course. This is the economy. This is how it goes. Up and down, up and down. And if you've been in business very long, you'll understand the highs, the valleys, and the lows. All right? But you have to be somewhat stable through it all, right? Now, I'm not saying if a natural disaster, claimed your business that you're a bad business person. Absolutely not. But if you're in debt over your head, you're stressing out every day because you haven't got enough money coming in to do payroll and everything else. You may want to reconsider what you're doing. And that's even harder sometimes for people to do, is they don't know when to get off the sinking ship. Yes, you should be the captain and go down with the ship, right? Be the last person off the ship. But it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice yourself. Do successful people have business failures? Yes, all the time. But the sad thing is a lot of these people that are just keep doing startups and all these other crap, and they get into problems and they just file bankruptcy and start again. I don't see that as being a good what's the right word? Da, 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 da. Someone to look up to and try to follow in their footsteps, all right? But if the guy failed and then, put on his big boy pants, dusted himself off, and said, you know what? This is why it failed. I can identify why it failed. And most times when a business fails, it's within the grasp of the owner to correct it before it fails. There's writing on the wall, usually years in advance, all right? But for some people, they have put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, find it hard to step away from it. They keep thinking that they keep doing the same thing, that, it'll turn around. And that's where your profit and loss statement at the end of the year comes in, right? And tells you this is what it is. See, now, if you built your business in a successful year, a good year, one of the highs, and you based your business model on that high, what's going to happen when it goes to a low? And it will go to a low. We've seen that the last 4 years. It's finally on the news that, with inflation and stagnant wages and the cost of living and the cost of credit cards, and that the average person, the lower and middle class, are hurting. But the news is just catching up to it today. Why is that? Well, because it's election year. But we that have been in business have noticed that with this, because it changes from administration too, and their policies. But we've seen over the past 4 years disposable income less. So, even guys that I know that usually have work a year out are begging for work right now. A friend of mine, Barry, he works on farm tractors, and he's usually a year to a year and a half out if you get on his waiting list. That's how good he is. But where he makes his bread and butter is off, the average person, the middle class guy, that, either wants his tractor engine rebuilt or transmission fixed or what have you. Doesn't matter. And his yard is usually full of tractors. And what I've noticed this year is his yard has no tractors. He's just piecemealing as it comes in. So what I've been trying to do on my end for him, because he is a good businessman, is I don't do tires and hoses, hydraulic hoses and that stuff, okay? And I'm willing to give him any help if possible. Why is that? Because I have become partners with my other businesses in the area instead of trying to compete with them. He's doing the same thing we're doing basically, except for we're doing lawnmowers as well, where he doesn't. But that's the other thing, is getting connected with the right people in the right business, where you could call it my overflow, as I'm pushing it that direction. Because I know the quality of his work, and I know that he's reasonable, and that he will treat my customer right. But how many businesses out there will say that about yours if you're in business right now. I know a lot of people that run businesses that hate to give up the idea that, they're the only reason that business is successful. And I'm here to tell you that behind every successful person, you will find people, whether mentoring, giving advice, their better half, putting up with this crap of constant working all the time, employees stepping up. But this takes us back to having the ability to wear more than one hat. One of the things that I detest, okay, and I do not want to learn, payroll. Can I learn it? Yes. QuickBooks, I guess you could just punch in the numbers and it'll do it all for you. But you know what? I said early on, here's two things I don't want to happen. One, looking back over my shoulder because I did payroll wrong, and looking back over my shoulder because I did year-end taxes wrong, that I didn't do it correctly. And for me, I would rather pay someone that's doing it every day, which I do with payroll. That's all handled. And then my year-end taxes are done by another CPA. So I've got two CPAs that are on the books every year. Could I learn it? Yeah. But these guys are spending a lot of time staying up with all the new policy procedures. Even when we went through COVID, my CPA that did payroll applied for all the right things to give us like a payroll, because we stayed in business because we were considered essential for farm repair to keep farmers going. And my business didn't become successful just because of me. I give just as much credit to my employees of picking the right employees, because you can pick the wrong employees that will put your business into the dirt. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But the main thing with today's video is to kind of, you need to go into it with both eyes open. Running a business, starting a business, and running a business isn't all what it's put up to be. And, I've seen so many people tell me how successful they are and bragging about their growth, but their business is mortgaged to the hilt. I give more respect to that small one-guy operation that's got a small garage, tools, limited inventory, and he's making $40,000 to $50,000 a year for income, and everything's paid for. Than a guy that's making $2 million a year, and everything is mortgaged, or he owes money on everything. And the funny thing is, the guy's making $2 million a year. He's out spending money like he's making $2 million a year. And in the end, he isn't even making that $50,000 or $40,000 salary because everything is at risk. If I can leave you with one thing, that is keep your debt low. And if you can, I think the only way that you can become successful as you're growing your business is if you can put your profits back in to the business to either pay for what you have that you owe on or for expansion. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get a paycheck, not even close. And actually, depending upon, because I'm not an attorney or certified public accountant, nothing like that. But it's how you set up your business, whether you set it up as a, sole proprietor, partner, LLC, or incorporated. One thing to keep in mind is if you go incorporated, you can put yourself on payroll, but you're actually being taxed twice because you're going to get taxed for your personal taxes and then your business taxes at the end of the year. But at least you're on payroll, so you're getting a certain amount of money every month. So on that note, you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And you guys that have run or are running successful businesses, if you could put in some of the thoughts that you have on what it takes to not just start one, but to maintain it and grow it right. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning to talk more business, right? All right.